Okay, good morning and welcome to Iyun with Benzion as part of the greater Yeshiva YouTube, the only virtual Yeshiva in the world. I'm talking today about Psak Halacha. The Gemara goes back and forth on this question. The Gemara issues a Psak Halacha on Tzadi Hamad Beis. The Hilchasa about 6 lines down. Ishtadav Pnei Chari Tar from the Mashab. The Gemara is Shaila on Tzadi Hamad Aleph. About a Halacha and Mesechas Gittin. Really, technically, that if I lend money to somebody, right? And he has property, I can collect from his property, right? The loan comes due. He hasn't paid me back the money. I can collect from his property. B'nei chorin. What about if he sold some property, right? So it's encumbered property. It's considered there's a lien on that property, so I can collect from that also. So the Mishnah Gittin says, wait a second. Before you collect from someone he sold it to, which is a third party over here, it's not fair to him. Maybe he didn't know better than we did, but it's not really fair. Collect if the person still has property, collect from him. The actual balko, the actual person who borrowed the money, you collect from him first. Even if his land is inferior, even if he sold his best land to the third party, you have to collect from even Ziboris, even from inferior land, the value of the loan, because the basic shibud is on the basic guarantee. Achra is to pay is on the assets of the borrower, not on the assets that he sold it to the third party. If there's nothing to collect, then you have a lien, so you can collect from the buyer. So what about he had free land to collect from, but a hurricane happened, Hurricane Iyun happened. Very unfortunate what happened. Florida, Cuba. So the land's got ruined. So the only land, right, he sold to someone in Memphis, Tennessee. Hurricane Ian didn't get to Memphis, Tennessee, at least according to my vague reading of the news, glance at the highlights of the news. It didn't get to Memphis, Tennessee. So his third party has properties in Memphis, Tennessee, which is a lien on it. Can he use his lien and to collect the property over here? You don't want to collect the fields that were ruined by Hurricane Ian. He doesn't want to collect that land because, tell you the truth, it's ruined. You can't do anything with that. The field got completely drowned, and you can't use it. So, can you collect from Memphis, Tennessee, or not? So the Gemara goes back and forth. The Gemara paskin. You could collect from the Shubatim. Now, what's the question based on, and what's the answer based on? What's halacha based on? So, I'd like to explain like this: that when I borrow money from somebody else, right? So if I have any assets, I have a house, I have a field, I have commercial real estate, he can collect from that, right? He can collect from a metalslin even. As long as it didn't die, he can collect from a metalslin, from a movable object. Or he can collect from the karkos, and I have achrai as a responsibility to pay him back. Now, when we say a lien on the land, I don't think your properties that you didn't sell yet is called a lien on it. A lien is spelled L-I-E-N, but it's titled lien. I would say it's like leaning. Meaning, the property that you sold to somebody else is leaning on your property, your assets that you have now, your valuable assets that you have now. So therefore, if something's leaning on that, so the main achrayus, I don't think I would call it, or shibud. Shibud is not necessarily a lien. A shibud and achrayus, maybe there's two different. A shibud is a lien. Achrayus is maybe a guarantee. I have to guarantee to pay off that loan, and my properties are guaranteed. There's achrayus, the responsibility to pay off that loan. That means, we're going to delve into this more when we get into the name that even though the fields belong to me, the borrower, in a certain sense, when I gave him money, when I borrowed money from him, so my fields or my properties are bershuso, meaning they're in his capacity to take those. He can take them. They're bershuso. The shalom belong to me. He can't sell them, but bershuso is to collect from them. However, if I sell that land to somebody else, there's a lien on that person, shibud. There's no achrayas. That person doesn't have a guarantee to pay back, the person he bought it from, his loan. But there is a lien on that property. And a lien on that property is not bershuso, right? It's not bershuso. It leaves bershuso. So, if you'll say that the whole idea of collecting property is just a schus. It's a right? It's a schus that I have. I have no ownership over one field. It's not even bershuso. Even the person, I borrowed money from a person, my fields are not, even the ones that I didn't sell to somebody else, are not bershusi. are not a bershuso of the loaner, of the creditor. So it's just a right that I have to collect. I'm allowed. It's a schus. It's a right that I have to collect. So then it makes sense to say nistach basadeu, right? The third person who bought from him could say, yes, you had a right to collect, but exercise that right. You know, the fields are around; they're just not usable anymore. So you lost out. However, if we say that no, that really, when I borrow money, my fields are in the reshus, the value belongs to the borrower, the balcho, the creditor, belongs to him. So once it belongs to him, so therefore, um, so therefore, uh, okay, I'm going to reverse course because what I'm saying now doesn't make so much sense. So I'm not going to edit it because, you know, that's part of Gemara. You think things out and then you change your mind. It doesn't make sense. I'm going to say exactly the opposite I was about to say. If it's bershuso, if it belongs partially already to the creditor, so then there's a concept, this tachva sadeu, it already was in your reshus, and you lost out because it got drenched, right, by Hurricane Ian. However, if achrayus just means that I have a responsibility to pay it back, so therefore, not only is shalo, but the field also bershusi, it also belonged to the borrower. It always belonged to the borrower. I have a right to collect. So now, when it got ruined in my reshus, the borrower's reshus. So therefore it's gone. So therefore the lien kicks in. The lien is leaning on the achrayas. The shiba leans on the achrayas, right? First is the achrayas. Therefore, if you're in ziboros, you have to collect from the achrayas, the guarantee. But since it's just a right to collect and it's not bershusi, it doesn't belong to me. Maybe a mashkon is in your possession, but a regular field are not. You have an achrayas to pay him back, so you have a responsibility. So therefore, it got destroyed in my reshus, so therefore the lien kicks in. It's leaning on the ability to collect from Bnei Chorin. So I can't collect from Bnei Chorin, and they were in my reshus when they got destroyed. So therefore the lien kicks in, and I could have that right to collect even from the shubadim. However, if I would say that the first time, I repeatedly saying that means that it's bershuso, it's bershus already of the creditor, and if it's bershus of the creditor, so then it's dachva sadeh, like at the beginning of the sefta, right? That when you engage to a woman, right, it's sort of you own part of her. So therefore, she is an onus, she's pierced neither or something like that. So this dachva sadeh, the Gemara suggests, maybe you lost out. She's your field already, so she belongs to you. So an onus happened. It's your fault. It's your responsibility. That's what I like to explain over here. The lien, the achrayas comes first, and the lien is predicated on that achrayas. But even the achrayas is only a right to collect, and it's not for shu. So hope you enjoyed today's share. See you in the next one.